Ji-hoon Park sat at his desk on a Monday morning. He held a cup of coffee in one hand. In his other hand, he held a folder. The folder was thick with papers. All the papers were complaints. Every single complaint was about the same restaurant. Ji-hoon was 34 years old. He worked as a district manager for a big fast food company. His job was to make sure restaurants in his area ran well. He checked if they followed the rules. He made sure customers were happy. Most days his job was boring but simple. Today was different. Ji-hoon opened the folder. He counted the complaint letters inside. There were 23 complaints. All of them came in during the last 3 months. All of them were about the same location. The restaurant was on Harbor Boulevard in Southern California. The first complaint was from a woman named Mrs. Chen. She wrote that the staff was rude to her. They gave her the wrong order. When she asked them to fix it, they laughed at her. She said she would never go back. The second complaint was from a man named Robert Torres. He said his food was cold. The fries were old and hard. The burger tasted like it had been sitting for hours. When he complained, the manager told him to leave. The third complaint was worse. A father wrote about taking his daughter there for her birthday. The staff made fun of his accent. They gave him food that made his daughter sick. He attached a hospital bill to his letter. Ji-hoon read through more complaints. Each one told a similar story. Rude workers, bad food, dirty tables, wrong orders. Some customers said the staff deliberately messed up their orders. Others said they saw workers spit in food. This was serious. Ji-hoon picked up his phone. He called his boss at the corporate office. Her name was Sandra Kim. She answered after 2 rings. "Sandra, this is Ji-hoon. I need to talk about the Harbor Boulevard location." "Oh, that place," Sandra said. Her voice sounded tired. "We've been getting complaints about them for months." "I know. I have 23 letters on my desk right now." "What does the franchise owner say?" Ji-hoon sighed. "Mr. Davidson says the customers are lying. He says people today just like to complain. He won't take it seriously." There was silence on the phone. Then Sandra spoke again. "Ji-hoon, I need you to investigate this properly. We can't ignore this many complaints. If something bad happens and we did nothing, the company could be in real trouble." "What do you want me to do?" "Go undercover. Visit the restaurant as a regular customer. See what's really happening. Document everything. Take photos if you can. We need real evidence before we can take action." Ji-hoon felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He had never done undercover work before. "When should I start?" "As soon as possible. But Ji-hoon, be careful. Don't let them know who you are. If the complaints are true, these people might destroy evidence if they know we're investigating." "I understand. And Ji-hoon, this is important for your career. Handle this well, and there's a regional manager position opening up next year. You'd be perfect for it." After the call ended, Ji-hoon sat back in his chair. He thought about what he needed to do. He couldn't just walk into the restaurant in his suit. The staff might recognize him. He had visited that location once before, about 2 years ago. He wasn't sure if anyone would remember him, but he couldn't take the chance. Ji-hoon opened his computer. He pulled up the security camera footage from the Harbor Boulevard restaurant. The company had access to all cameras in all locations. It was part of the franchise agreement. He started watching footage from the past week. He watched at double speed, looking for problems. After an hour, he saw something that made him pause. He rewound the video and watched at normal speed. A well-dressed white couple came to the counter. The manager, a woman with blonde hair, smiled at them. She was polite. She made sure their order was perfect. She even gave them extra sauce for free. 5 minutes later, an elderly Hispanic man came to the counter. The same blonde manager didn't smile. She looked annoyed. She rushed through taking his order. When the man asked a question, she rolled her eyes. Ji-hoon could see her mouth moving, but there was no sound on the security footage. The old man looked hurt. He took his food and left quickly. Ji-hoon watched more footage. The pattern repeated over and over. Some customers got good service. Others got treated badly. It seemed to depend on how the customers looked. Rich-looking people got respect. Poor-looking people got ignored or treated rudely. White customers got better service than customers of color. This was discrimination. It was against company policy. It was also against the law. Ji-hoon made notes in a notebook. He wrote down dates and times. He wrote descriptions of what he saw. He took screenshots of the worst moments. But he knew this wasn't enough. Security footage showed problems, but it didn't show everything. The cameras didn't record sound. They didn't show what happened in the kitchen. They didn't catch every interaction. He needed to see things with his own eyes. Ji-hoon looked at his calendar. Tomorrow was Tuesday. He had no important meetings. He could take a long lunch break. He would visit the Harbor Boulevard location as a regular customer. But first, he needed to prepare. He needed to look different. He needed a story. He needed to blend in. Ji-hoon went home early that day. He went through his closet. He usually wore suits and nice shoes for work. He needed to look ordinary. He found old jeans and a plain t-shirt. He had a baseball cap he never wore. He had regular sneakers instead of his dress shoes. He looked at himself in the mirror. He looked like a normal person. Good. Ji-hoon thought about his cover story. If anyone asked, he would say he worked construction. He would say he was on his lunch break. It was simple. It was believable. He practiced acting casual. He practiced not looking like a manager. He practiced looking tired and hungry, like a worker who just wanted a quick meal. That night, Ji-hoon couldn't sleep well. He kept thinking about what he might find. Part of him hoped the complaints were exaggerated. Maybe it was just a few bad days. Maybe it was a misunderstanding, but another part of him knew better. 23 complaints in 3 months was not normal. The security footage showed clear problems. Something was very wrong at that restaurant. Ji-hoon decided he would be thorough. He would visit multiple times. He would watch everything. He would document every problem. If the staff was really mistreating customers, he would get proof. Then he would make sure justice was served. He thought about the customers who had complained. He thought about Mrs. Chen, who was laughed at. He thought about Mr. Torres, who got cold food. He thought about the little girl who got sick on her birthday. These people deserved better. Every customer deserved to be treated with respect. That was company policy. That was basic human decency. Ji-hoon made a promise to himself. He would find the truth, no matter what it took, no matter how long it took. He would protect future customers from bad treatment. The next morning, Ji-hoon woke up early. He put on his ordinary clothes. He looked in the mirror one more time. He didn't look like a district manager anymore. He looked like any other customer. He grabbed his phone. He made sure it was fully charged. He would need it to take photos and notes. Ji-hoon got in his car. He drove toward Harbor Boulevard. His heart beat faster as he got closer. This was it. The investigation was beginning. He parked across the street from the restaurant. He sat in his car for a moment. He watched people going in and out. He took a deep breath. Then Ji-hoon Park, district manager, stepped out of his car. He walked toward the restaurant. He was ready to see the truth for himself. Ji-hoon walked through the glass doors of the restaurant. A bell chimed above his head. The smell of fried food hit him immediately. It was almost lunchtime. The restaurant was nearly empty. Only 3 other customers sat at tables. This surprised Ji-hoon. At this hour, the place should be busy. People should be lined up for lunch. But the dining area was quiet. Too quiet. He looked around slowly. He tried to look casual, like any customer who just walked in. The floor had sticky spots. Some tables had trash on them from earlier customers. Nobody had cleaned them yet. Ji-hoon made a mental note. The company required tables to be wiped down every 30 minutes during business hours. Behind the counter stood 3 employees. One was a young woman with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked nervous. She kept glancing at the other 2 workers. The second employee was a teenage boy who looked bored. He was playing with his phone. The third person was clearly the manager. She wore the same uniform as the others, but she had a name tag that said, Manager Brittany. Brittany was the blonde woman Ji-hoon had seen in the security footage. She was leaning against the counter talking to the teenage boy. She was laughing about something. Neither of them noticed Ji-hoon walking up to the counter. Ji-hoon stood at the register. He waited. Nobody came to help him. Brittany kept talking. The teenage boy kept looking at his phone. Only the nervous young woman glanced at Ji-hoon. She looked like she wanted to help him, but she was afraid. Ji-hoon waited for a full minute. Still, nobody came to take his order. He cleared his throat. "Excuse me." Brittany looked up. She didn't smile. She didn't apologize for making him wait. She just walked slowly to the register. "What do you want?" Her tone was rude. Ji-hoon noticed immediately. This was not how employees were trained to speak to customers. The company training manual required a greeting. Employees should say, "Welcome, how can I help you today?" They should smile. They should be friendly. Brittany did none of these things. "I'd like a number 3 combo, please," Ji-hoon said. He kept his voice normal. He wanted to sound like a regular customer. "With a Coke." "What size?" Brittany asked. She still didn't smile. "Medium, please." Brittany punched buttons on the register. She didn't tell him the total. She just pointed at the screen. Ji-hoon could see the price, $12.43. He pulled out his wallet and paid with cash. Brittany took his money. She gave him his change without counting it out loud. She dropped the coins into his hand. Some of the coins fell on the counter. She didn't pick them up. She just walked away. "Your order will be ready soon," she said over her shoulder. She didn't say thank you. She didn't give him a receipt. She just went back to talking with the teenage boy. Ji-hoon picked up the coins that had fallen. He moved to the side to wait for his food. He pulled out his phone. He pretended to look at messages. Really, he was taking notes. He typed quickly. "Manager rude. No greeting. Dropped change. Didn't provide receipt." He looked at his phone's clock. It was 11:47 a.m. He would time how long it took to get his food. While he waited, Ji-hoon watched the staff. The nervous young woman was making his order in the kitchen area. He could see her through the opening. She moved quickly. She seemed to be working hard, but Brittany kept calling her away from the food preparation. "Marisol, come clean these tables," Brittany ordered. The young woman, Marisol, stopped making the food. She came out to the dining area. She grabbed a cleaning cloth. She started wiping down the dirty tables. Now nobody was making Ji-hoon's order. Ji-hoon waited. 5 minutes passed. Then 10 minutes. He saw Marisol finish cleaning and go back to the kitchen. She started working on his food again. Then Brittany called her again. "Marisol, take out the trash." Marisol looked frustrated, but she didn't argue. She stopped working on the food again. She pulled the trash bag out of the bin. She carried it to the back door. Ji-hoon could see everything through the restaurant's open layout. More time passed. Ji-hoon checked his phone again. 15 minutes had gone by. His food still wasn't ready. The restaurant was nearly empty. There was no reason for such a long wait. A simple burger and fries combo should take 5 minutes at most. Finally, Marisol put a tray on the counter. "Number 3 combo," she called out. Ji-hoon walked to the counter. He picked up his tray. He noticed something immediately. The fries looked dark. They had been sitting under the heat lamp for too long. The burger wrapper was already getting grease stains on it. That meant the food had been sitting for a while. "Thank you," Ji-hoon said to Marisol. She gave him a small, apologetic smile. She seemed embarrassed by the wait. Ji-hoon carried his tray to a table. He chose a seat where he could see the counter and the kitchen. He wanted to observe more. He unwrapped his burger. It was barely warm. The cheese wasn't melted. The lettuce was wilted. The bun was soggy. This burger had definitely been sitting for a long time. Maybe it was made for a previous customer who never came. Maybe it was left over from the breakfast-lunch transition. Ji-hoon took a bite. The burger was cold in the middle. It tasted old. The fries were hard and oversalted. His drink was mostly ice with very little soda. This was unacceptable. Ji-hoon pulled out his phone again. He pretended to take a selfie. Really, he was photographing his food. He took pictures of the cold burger, the old fries, and the mostly iced drink. He time-stamped everything in his notes. Received food at 12:02 p.m. 15-minute wait. Restaurant nearly empty. Food is cold and old. Appears to be sitting inventory, not fresh preparation. While Ji-hoon sat there, pretending to eat, more customers came in. He watched how the staff treated each person. An older white couple entered. They wore expensive clothes and jewelry. Brittany immediately smiled at them. "Welcome. How can I help you folks today?" Her voice was cheerful. Her whole attitude changed. The couple ordered. Brittany was polite and helpful. She smiled the entire time. She personally made sure their food was prepared fresh. Ji-hoon could see her telling Marisol to make new fries, not the ones sitting in the warming bin. The couple got their food in less than 5 minutes. It was hot and fresh. They thanked Brittany. She told them to have a wonderful day. The contrast was shocking. These customers got treated completely differently than Ji-hoon. The only differences were how they looked and how they dressed. A few minutes later, a young black man came in. He wore work clothes. He had paint stains on his pants. He looked tired. He walked to the counter. Brittany's smile disappeared. She didn't greet him. She just looked at him and waited. "Can I get a number 5 combo?" The man asked politely. "Size?" Brittany's voice was flat. Cold. "Large, please." Brittany rang up his order. She told him the price in a bored voice. The man paid. She gave him his change without a word. Ji-hoon watched as Marisol prepared the man's food, but Brittany walked over and stopped her. Ji-hoon couldn't hear what Brittany said, but he saw her point at the warming trays. She was telling Marisol to use the old food that was sitting there. Marisol looked uncomfortable. She shook her head slightly. She seemed to be saying no. Brittany's face got angry. She said something sharp. Marisol's shoulders slumped. She took old fries from the warming tray. She grabbed a burger that was already wrapped and sitting in the heating area. The young man got his food. It was the same old sitting food that Ji-hoon had received. The man took his tray and sat down. He took a bite of his burger. His face showed disappointment, but he didn't complain. He just ate quietly and left. Ji-hoon's anger grew. This was deliberate. Brittany was choosing which customers got good service and which customers got bad service. She was making these choices based on how people looked. This was discrimination. It was wrong. It was illegal. But Ji-hoon stayed calm. He finished pretending to eat. He threw away his barely touched food. He walked out of the restaurant without saying anything. Once he was in his car, Ji-hoon reviewed his notes and photos. He had documented everything. But he knew this wasn't enough yet. This was just one visit. One observation. He needed more evidence. He needed to see if this pattern continued. He also needed to understand the full scope of the problem. Were all the managers like Brittany? Was this happening on every shift? How deep did the problem go? Ji-hoon decided he would come back. He would visit at different times. He would see different shifts. He would watch different managers. He would build a complete picture of what was happening at this restaurant. As he drove away, Ji-hoon thought about Marisol. She seemed like a good worker. She seemed to care. But Brittany was forcing her to give customers bad food. That wasn't fair to Marisol. It wasn't fair to the customers. Ji-hoon knew he had to continue this investigation. He had to see how bad things really were. Only then could he take action. Only then could he make things right. He pulled out his phone one more time. He sent a text to Sandra, his boss. "First observation complete. Concerns confirmed. Will continue investigation. More visits needed." Sandra replied quickly. "Good work. Document everything. Be thorough." Ji-hoon started his car and drove back to his office. His investigation had only just begun. Over the next 2 weeks, Ji-hoon visited the Harbor Boulevard restaurant 6 more times. Each time he changed his appearance. He wore different clothes. He wore sunglasses. One time he wore a hat. Another time, he let his beard grow for a few days. He wanted to make sure nobody recognized him. Each visit revealed new problems. Each visit made Ji-hoon more angry. But he stayed professional. He documented everything. He took photos when he could. He made detailed notes. He was building a case. On his second visit, Ji-hoon came in during the morning shift. A different manager was working. His name tag said Craig. He was a tall man in his 30s with red hair. He seemed even worse than Brittany. Ji-hoon ordered a breakfast sandwich and coffee. Craig took his order without smiling. But what happened next shocked Ji-hoon. An elderly woman came in after Ji-hoon. She walked slowly with a cane. She had white hair and kind eyes. She looked like somebody's grandmother. She ordered a small coffee and a muffin. Craig rang up her order. $8.50, he said. The woman pulled out her wallet. She counted her cash carefully. "Excuse me," she said. Her voice was shaky. "I thought the senior coffee and muffin special was $5. That's what the sign says." She pointed at a poster on the wall. It advertised exactly what she said, senior special, $5. Craig's face got annoyed. "That's only on Tuesdays." "But today is Tuesday," the woman said gently. Craig rolled his eyes. "Fine. $5. He canceled the first transaction. He rang it up again. The woman paid with a $5 bill. She smiled and thanked him. But Ji-hoon saw something. He saw it clearly. Craig had charged her $8.50 the first time. When he rang it up again, he charged her $6. Craig gave her back $1 in change. He kept the extra dollar for himself. The elderly woman didn't notice. She took her change and her receipt. She sat down with her coffee and muffin. She had no idea she'd been cheated. Ji-hoon felt sick to his stomach. This wasn't just bad service, this was theft. Craig had stolen from an elderly customer. He had done it right in front of everyone. He had done it like it was normal. Like he did it all the time. Ji-hoon wanted to say something. He wanted to stop it right then. But he couldn't. If he revealed who he was now, Craig would just deny everything. He would destroy evidence. He would warn the other employees. Ji-hoon needed more proof. He needed to catch them in bigger violations, so Ji-hoon stayed quiet. He took his food. He sat down. He pretended to eat. But his hands shook with anger. He pulled out his phone. He documented what he had seen. He wrote down every detail. After the elderly woman left, Ji-hoon watched Craig. The manager opened the cash register. He took out a dollar bill. He put it in his pocket. He had stolen that dollar. He had stolen it from a kind old woman who probably lived on a fixed income. Ji-hoon left the restaurant feeling disgusted. But he also felt determined. These people needed to be stopped. He would make sure they were held accountable. His third visit was on a Saturday afternoon. The restaurant was busier. Brittany was back on duty. Ji-hoon ordered a chicken sandwich. He sat down to eat and watch. A Hispanic family came in. They had 3 children. The parents spoke Spanish to each other. They spoke English to the staff, but with thick accents. Brittany took their order. Her face showed annoyance. She didn't try to hide it. The family ordered several combos. Brittany rang up the order quickly. She didn't explain anything. She didn't ask if they wanted their drinks in one carrier or separate. She just rushed them. The family got their food and sat down. Ji-hoon watched as they opened their bags. They checked their orders. Something was wrong. The father went back to the counter. He was holding a burger. "Excuse me, miss. I ordered no onions. This has onions. My daughter is allergic." Brittany looked at him with contempt. "You should have been more clear when you ordered." "I was clear," the man said. His voice was patient but firm. "I said no onions. My daughter is allergic." "Well, I can't help what I didn't hear," Brittany said. She crossed her arms. The man looked tired. "Can you please remake it? She can't eat this." Brittany sighed loudly. She grabbed the burger. She walked to the kitchen. Ji-hoon watched carefully. He saw what happened next. Brittany opened the burger. She picked off the onions with her bare hands. She didn't wash her hands first. She just picked off the visible onion pieces. Then she closed the burger and wrapped it back up. She brought it back to the counter. "Here," she said, dropping it in front of the man. The man took the burger back to his table. His daughter bit into it. Within seconds, her face started to turn red. Her eyes watered. She started coughing. The mother quickly gave her medicine from her purse. It looked like an allergy pill. The little girl was having an allergic reaction. Not a severe one, thankfully, but she was clearly uncomfortable. Her parents looked angry and worried, but they didn't complain more. They just packed up their food and left. Ji-hoon's heart pounded. This was dangerous. Brittany had deliberately given that child food with allergens. She just picked off the visible onions. She left the onion residue. She left the onion juice that had soaked into the meat. She knew the child was allergic. She didn't care. This could have been much worse. Some people die from food allergies. That little girl could have needed a hospital. All because Brittany was too lazy and too mean to make a new burger properly. Ji-hoon took photos of everything. He made detailed notes. He included the time, the description of the family, and exactly what happened. This was evidence of negligence. This was evidence of deliberately endangering a customer. After the family left, Ji-hoon heard Brittany talking to another employee. They were speaking Spanish. They didn't know Ji-hoon understood Spanish. His mother was from Mexico. He had grown up speaking both English and Spanish. "These people are so annoying," Brittany said in Spanish, "always complaining about something. If they don't like it, they should eat somewhere else." The other employee laughed. "I know, and they never tip anyway." "Exactly. Why should we give them good service if they don't appreciate it?" Ji-hoon's jaw clenched. He wanted to confront them right then, but he controlled himself. He kept listening. He kept documenting. Evidence. He needed evidence. On his fourth visit, Ji-hoon came during a slow evening. He wanted to check the kitchen more carefully. He ordered a simple burger and fries. While waiting, he walked toward the bathroom. On the way, he could see into the kitchen through the service window. What he saw made his stomach turn. The kitchen was filthy. There was grease on the walls. The floor looked sticky. Used gloves were thrown on the counter, not in the trash. Most worrying, he saw packages of meat sitting out. They weren't in the refrigerator, they were just sitting on the counter at room temperature. Ji-hoon looked closer at one package. He could see the date label. The meat was expired. It was 3 days past the expiration date, but it was still being used. He saw an employee take meat from that package and put it on the grill. This was a serious health code violation. Using expired meat could make people sick. It could cause food poisoning. The company had strict rules about food safety. This restaurant was breaking every rule. Ji-hoon took photos discreetly with his phone. He pretended to be texting. But he was really documenting the health violations. He photographed the dirty kitchen, the expired meat, and the improper food storage. When he got his food, Ji-hoon didn't eat it. He couldn't. Not after seeing the kitchen. He wrapped it up and took it with him. Later, he would check the expiration dates and food temperature. He would add it to his evidence file. His fifth and sixth visits revealed more problems. He saw Craig deliberately give customers wrong orders. When they complained, Craig argued with them. He saw Brittany refuse to give a refund to a customer who got spoiled milk in their coffee. He saw employees mock customers after they left. But during his sixth visit, something unexpected happened. Ji-hoon finally spoke to Marisol, the nervous young employee. It was late afternoon. The restaurant was almost empty. Marisol was cleaning tables. She looked tired and sad. Ji-hoon was sitting at a table making notes on his phone. Marisol came to clean the table next to his. She gave him a small, polite smile. "How is everything?" she asked quietly. It was the kind of question employees were supposed to ask, but the way she said it was different. She seemed to really care. "The food was fine, thank you," Ji-hoon said. He looked at her name tag. "Marisol, right?" She looked surprised that he remembered her name. "Yes, sir." "You work hard here," Ji-hoon said. "I've noticed. You're always busy." Marisol's eyes got a little wet. She looked like she might cry. "Thank you for noticing," she said softly. "Not many people do." Ji-hoon saw his chance. "Is everything okay? You seem stressed?" Marisol looked around nervously. Brittany was in the back office. Craig wasn't working today. They were alone in the dining area. "Can I tell you something?" Marisol asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Of course," Ji-hoon said. Marisol sat down at the table across from him. Her hands shook slightly. "This place is terrible. The managers treat customers badly on purpose. They treat us badly too. I've tried to report it. But nobody listens. What do you mean? Marisol took a breath. The managers, Brittany and Craig, they tell us to give bad food to certain customers. They choose who gets good service based on how people look. If someone looks poor or if they're not white, they get the old food, the sitting food. Sometimes they tell us to mess up orders on purpose. Ji-hoon's heart beat faster. This was confirmation. This was an employee admitting what he suspected. Tell me more, Ji-hoon said gently. He tried to keep his voice calm. He didn't want to scare Marisol. He needed to hear everything she knew. Marisol glanced toward the back office again. Brittany was still inside. Marisol spoke quickly, like she had been holding these words inside for a long time. I started working here 6 months ago. At first I thought it was a good job. But then I saw how the managers treated people. They make fun of customers after they leave. They laugh about giving people bad food. When I tried to give good service to everyone, Brittany yelled at me. She said I was wasting fresh food on people who don't matter. Ji-hoon felt his anger rising, but he stayed calm. Did you report this to anyone? Yes, Marisol said. Her voice broke a little. I called the company hotline 2 months ago. I told them everything, but nothing happened. Then Brittany found out I called. She started giving me the worst shifts. She makes me do all the hard work. She threatens to fire me if I complain again. Do other employees see these problems too? Yes. There's another worker, David. He's been here for a year. He tried to stand up to Craig once. Craig cut his hours down to almost nothing. David had to find a second job. Now he doesn't say anything because he needs the money. Marisol looked down at her hands. I've been keeping notes. I write down everything I see. I have dates and times. I even took some photos when they weren't looking. I wanted to have proof. But I don't know what to do with it. I'm scared if I report it again, they'll fire me. I need this job. I have a baby at home. Ji-hoon's mind raced. Marisol had evidence. She had documentation. This was exactly what he needed. But he had to be careful. He couldn't reveal who he was yet. Not until he had everything ready. Marisol, Ji-hoon said carefully. Would you be willing to share that information with someone who could actually help? Someone from corporate? Marisol's eyes widened. You know someone at corporate? Ji-hoon nodded. I might be able to help you, but I need you to trust me. Can you send me your notes and photos? Marisol studied his face. She seemed to be deciding if she could trust him. Finally, she nodded. Okay. But please, you have to promise they won't know it came from me. Not until something is done. I can't lose this job. I promise, Ji-hoon said. I'll protect you. They exchanged phone numbers. Marisol went back to work before Brittany came out of the office. That evening, Ji-hoon received an email from Marisol. It contained photos and detailed notes. The evidence was damning. Marisol had documented dozens of incidents over several months. She had photos of expired food being used. She had photos of the dirty kitchen. She even had recordings of Brittany and Craig making racist comments about customers. Ji-hoon spent that night reviewing everything. He combined Marisol's evidence with his own observations. He now had a complete picture of the problems at the Harbor Boulevard location. It was worse than he had thought. The managers weren't just lazy or rude. They were deliberately discriminating against customers. They were violating health codes. They were stealing money. They were creating a toxic workplace where good employees were punished. The next morning, Ji-hoon called Sandra. He told her everything. He sent her all the documentation. This is serious, Sandra said. Her voice was grave. This isn't just bad management. This is systematic discrimination and fraud. We need to act carefully. If we mess this up, the company could face lawsuits. What do you want me to do? Ji-hoon asked. I'm bringing in the legal team and HR. We need to document this properly, but Ji-hoon, I think we need one more thing. We need to catch them in the act with witnesses. We need undeniable proof. What are you suggesting? Do one more visit. But this time bring witnesses from corporate. People who can testify about what they saw. Make it during a busy time. Place a complex order, the kind that should be easy for them to mess up. Let's see if they discriminate right in front of official witnesses. Ji-hoon understood. Sandra was planning something bigger. She wanted to catch Brittany and Craig when they couldn't deny what they did. She wanted multiple witnesses and clear evidence. When should we do this? Ji-hoon asked. Friday. Lunch rush. I'll send 2 people from HR. They'll pose as regular customers. You'll go in separately. Place your order. See what happens. Document everything. I'll also arrange for a camera crew to be positioned outside. We'll record everything we legally can. Ji-hoon felt nervous and excited. This was it. This was the moment when everything would come together. There's one more thing, Ji-hoon said. I need to protect Marisol and the other good employees. They shouldn't be punished for the manager's behavior. Agreed. Make a list of employees who were forced to participate. We'll protect them. The managers are the ones who will face consequences. Ji-hoon spent the next few days preparing. He planned his order carefully. He would order something complicated but completely reasonable. He would follow exactly what the company training manual said customers should do. He would order with specific requests. He would mention food allergies. He would test if the managers followed proper safety protocols. If Brittany and Craig treated him badly, if they violated food safety rules, if they discriminated against him, it would all be witnessed and documented. Friday morning arrived. Ji-hoon woke up early. He dressed in his casual clothes again. He looked like a regular construction worker. He met briefly with the 2 HR representatives. Their names were Patricia and James. They were experienced professionals who knew how to observe and document workplace violations. Remember, Ji-hoon told them, act like normal customers. Order food. Sit down. Watch everything. Take mental notes. If you see violations, document them later. Don't make it obvious. Patricia and James nodded. They understood the assignment. Outside the restaurant, a van was parked across the street. Inside were 2 people with camera equipment. They had permission from corporate legal to record. They would capture footage of the exterior, and through the windows, some of the interior. This was all legal. The restaurant was a public space. At 11:30, James and Patricia entered the restaurant. They ordered food and sat down at separate tables. They looked like regular customers taking a lunch break. At 11:45, Ji-hoon entered. His heart pounded. This was the moment that would determine everything. He had been investigating for 3 weeks. He had gathered evidence. He had witnessed discrimination, health violations, and fraud. Now he would see if it happened again, with official witnesses present. The restaurant was busy. It was lunch rush. About 15 customers were inside. Some were eating. Others were in line. Brittany was at the register. Craig was in the kitchen. Marisol was there too, looking nervous as always. Ji-hoon got in line. He waited his turn. He watched Brittany serve the customers ahead of him. The pattern was the same as before. Well-dressed customers got smiles and good service. Regular working people got rushed treatment. Finally, it was Ji-hoon's turn. He stepped up to the counter. Brittany looked at him. She didn't smile. She just waited. "Welcome," she said flatly. Her voice had no warmth. "What do you want?" Ji-hoon spoke clearly. He wanted there to be no confusion about his order. "I'd like a number 7 combo, please, but I need to make some modifications because of allergies." Brittany's face showed annoyance immediately. "What modifications?" "I'm allergic to sesame seeds. Can you make sure the bun has no sesame seeds? I need the regular bun, not the sesame seed bun." This was a simple request. The restaurant offered both types of buns. It was in the menu. Brittany should say yes and make a note on the order. Instead, Brittany rolled her eyes. "We only have sesame seed buns right now." Ji-hoon knew this was a lie. He could see the regular buns in the warming area behind her. "I can see the regular buns right there," he said, politely pointing. Brittany's face flushed. She was caught in a lie. "Fine. What else?" "No pickles, extra lettuce, and can you make sure it's fresh? Not food that's been sitting. I have a sensitive stomach." This request was also reasonable. Customers were allowed to ask for fresh food. The training manual encouraged employees to accommodate such requests. Brittany's eyes narrowed. "All our food is fresh." "I'm sure it is," Ji-hoon said calmly. "I just want to make sure my burger is made fresh when I order it, not taken from the warming tray. Is that possible?" It'll take longer, Brittany said. Her tone was hostile now. That's fine. I'll wait. Brittany sighed loudly. She rang up his order with aggressive jabs at the register. 1947. The price seemed high. Ji-hoon knew the number 7 combo should cost about $15. Can I see the receipt? Brittany printed the receipt and shoved it across the counter. Ji-hoon looked at it carefully. She had charged him for extra items he didn't order. She added a large fries upgrade he didn't ask for. She added an extra burger patty he didn't request. I didn't order these extras, Ji-hoon said, pointing at the receipt. Brittany snatched the receipt back. She looked at it quickly. My mistake, she said. Her voice had no apology in it. She canceled the order and rang it up again. This time the price was correct. Ji-hoon paid with his credit card. He wanted a record of the transaction. Brittany took his card without a word. She ran it through the machine and gave it back. She didn't say thank you. She just called out. Next! Ji-hoon stepped aside. He watched as Brittany handed his order ticket to Craig in the kitchen. She said something to Craig that Ji-hoon couldn't hear. But he saw Craig look at the ticket, then look at Ji-hoon. Craig smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was a mean smile. Ji-hoon's stomach tightened. Something was wrong. He could feel it. Craig was planning something. Ji-hoon found a table where he could see the kitchen. Patricia and James were still at their tables. They were watching too. They had seen the entire interaction at the counter. They had witnessed Brittany's rudeness, the overcharging attempt, and the hostile attitude. In the kitchen, Ji-hoon watched Craig prepare his order. Or rather, he watched Craig pretend to prepare his order. Craig took a burger from the warming tray. It was already wrapped. It had been sitting there. It wasn't fresh like Ji-hoon requested. Then Craig did something shocking. He unwrapped the burger. He opened the bun. He looked at it. Then he deliberately put sesame seeds on top of the regular bun. He took sesame seeds from a container and sprinkled them on the bun. He was adding the very thing Ji-hoon said he was allergic to. Ji-hoon's heart raced. This was deliberate. This was dangerous. Craig was intentionally putting allergens on food after a customer specifically said they were allergic. This could kill someone. Some people go into anaphylactic shock from allergens. They could die within minutes. Craig wrapped the burger back up. He put it on a tray with old fries from the warming station. He filled a cup with soda that was mostly ice. Then he put the tray on the counter. Number 7, Craig called out. Ji-hoon stood up. He walked to the counter. He picked up his tray. He looked at the burger. Through the wrapper, he could see sesame seeds on the bun. His allergy food had been contaminated on purpose. Ji-hoon carried his tray back to his table. He didn't open the burger yet. He pulled out his phone. He took photos of the wrapped burger. He could see the sesame seeds clearly through the wrapper. He photographed the receipt with his order specifications. He photographed everything. Then Ji-hoon unwrapped the burger. The bun was definitely a regular bun with sesame seeds added on top. He could see where Craig had sprinkled them. They weren't baked into the bun. They were just sitting on top. Some fell off when he opened the wrapper. Ji-hoon took more photos. He documented everything carefully. Then he took a bite of the burger. It was cold. The meat was lukewarm at best. The cheese wasn't melted. This burger had been sitting for a long time. It wasn't fresh like he requested. The fries were hard and oversalted. They had clearly been sitting under the heat lamp for too long. The soda was 90% ice with barely any drink. Ji-hoon had all the evidence he needed, but he wanted to see what would happen next. He stood up. He walked back to the counter. Brittany was there. Craig was visible in the kitchen. "Excuse me," Ji-hoon said calmly. "I have a problem with my order." Brittany looked annoyed. "What's the problem?" "I specifically said I'm allergic to sesame seeds. This bun has sesame seeds on it." Brittany glanced at the burger. "That's what we had available." "No," Ji-hoon said. His voice was still calm. "I can see regular buns right there. You have them. Also, this burger is cold. I asked for fresh food. This has been sitting." "Sir, all our food is fresh," Brittany said. Her voice was getting louder. Other customers were starting to look. "This is not fresh," Ji-hoon said. The burger is cold, the fries are hard, and you put sesame seeds on my food after I told you I'm allergic. That's dangerous. Craig came out from the kitchen. Is there a problem? Yes, Ji-hoon said. I asked for no sesame seeds because of an allergy. Your staff put sesame seeds on my food anyway. I asked for fresh food. This food is old and cold. I'd like you to remake my order correctly. Craig crossed his arms. Listen, man, we made your food the way you ordered it. If you don't like it, that's not our problem. I have the receipt right here, Ji-hoon said, holding it up. It clearly says no sesame seeds. It says to make it fresh. You didn't follow my order. According to company policy, you need to remake it. Ji-hoon knew the company policy by heart. He had written some of it himself. When a customer's special request isn't followed, especially regarding allergies, the restaurant must remake the order at no charge and apologize for the error. I'm not remaking anything, Craig said. You got your food. If you keep complaining, I'm going to ask you to leave. Other customers were definitely watching now. Some looked uncomfortable. They could see this was wrong. Patricia and James were watching carefully, documenting everything with their eyes. I'd like to speak with the manager, Ji-hoon said. Brittany stepped forward. I am the manager. Then I'm asking you as the manager to remake my order correctly, or give me a refund. No refunds, Brittany said. You got your food. We're done here. This is unacceptable, Ji-hoon said. His voice was still calm but firm. You didn't follow my order. You put allergens in my food after I specifically said I was allergic. You could have seriously hurt me. I'm going to report this to corporate. Craig laughed. Go ahead. Report it. Nobody cares what you think. Brittany smirked. We get complaints all the time. Nothing ever happens. Corporate doesn't care about people like you. There it was. The admission Ji-hoon needed. They knew they were mistreating customers. They knew people complained. They did it anyway because they thought there would be no consequences. Actually, Ji-hoon said. His voice changed. It became more authoritative. Corporate does care, and they sent me here specifically to investigate this location. He pulled out his wallet. He took out his corporate ID badge. He held it up so everyone could see it. My name is Ji-hoon Park. I'm the district manager for this region. I've been investigating this restaurant for 3 weeks. I've witnessed multiple violations of company policy, health codes, and federal discrimination laws. The color drained from Brittany's face. Craig's mouth fell open. They stared at the ID badge in shock. The other customers in the restaurant started whispering. Some pulled out their phones. They sensed something important was happening. You, Brittany stammered. I'm your boss, Ji-hoon said firmly. I've been conducting an undercover investigation. I've documented everything. The discrimination against customers based on race and appearance, the deliberate tampering with food, the health code violations, the theft from customers, the hostile work environment, all of it. Craig tried to speak. We didn't. You deliberately put allergens in my food after I told you I was allergic, Ji-hoon said. His voice was hard now. That's not just policy violation, that's criminal. You could have killed someone. Brittany's hand started shaking. We didn't mean, it was just what? Just discrimination? Just food tampering? Just endangering lives? Ji-hoon's anger was controlled but visible. Do you understand how serious this is? Patricia and James stood up from their tables. They walked over to the counter. They showed their identification. We're from Human Resources at corporate headquarters, Patricia said. We've been observing this location for the past hour. We witnessed everything that just happened. We also witnessed how you treated other customers before Mr. Park arrived. James added, we saw you give preferential treatment to some customers while discriminating against others. We saw you serve old food deliberately. We saw hostile behavior and policy violations. The restaurant had gone completely silent. Every customer was watching. Some were recording on their phones. This was going to be documented from multiple angles. Brittany started crying. Please, I need this job. I have bills to pay. You should have thought about that before you mistreated customers and endangered their lives, Ji-hoon said. His voice was cold. Your actions have consequences. Craig tried a different approach. Look, man, we were just following orders. The franchise owner, Mr. Davidson, he tells us to cut costs. He tells us to move customers quickly. We were just doing what he said. Don't lie to me, Ji-hoon said. I've reviewed the security footage. I've seen you discriminate against customers based on how they look. I've seen you deliberately mess up orders. That's not cost-cutting. That's cruelty. That's racism. That's wrong. He turned to address the whole restaurant. Some customers were still eating. Others had stopped to watch the scene unfold. I apologize to everyone here, Ji-hoon said loudly. This restaurant has not been meeting company standards. That ends today. If anyone here has been mistreated by this staff, please provide your contact information to these HR representatives. We will make things right. Several customers immediately came forward. They had stories to tell. They had complaints. One woman said Craig shortchanged her last week. Another man said Brittany refused to give him a refund for spoiled food. An elderly couple said they stopped coming here because the staff was always rude to them. Ji-hoon listened to each person. Patricia and James took notes. They collected names and phone numbers. They documented each complaint. While this was happening, Ji-hoon pulled out his phone. He called Sandra. Sandra, it's Ji-hoon. We have confirmation of everything, multiple witnesses. I need you to send the full investigation team now. They're already on their way, Sandra replied. They'll be there in 15 minutes. Ji-hoon, are you safe? Is anyone being hostile? Ji-hoon looked at Brittany and Craig. They both looked defeated, scared. They weren't going to cause trouble now. We're fine. But you need to contact Mr. Davidson immediately. He needs to know what's happening. Already done. He's driving there now. He should arrive shortly. Ji-hoon ended the call. He turned back to Brittany and Craig. I need both of you to gather all employees for a meeting. Everyone who's working today needs to be here. But we're in the middle of lunch rush, Craig protested weakly. Close the restaurant, Ji-hoon said. It wasn't a request. It was an order. Put up a sign. Tell customers we're closed for an emergency meeting. Do it now. Brittany walked to the door with shaking hands. She flipped the sign to closed. She locked the door. Several customers were still inside finishing their food. That was fine. They could stay. Craig called the other employees from the back. 2 young workers came out. One was a teenage boy named Marcus. The other was a girl named Sophia. Both looked confused and scared. Marisol was already there. She looked at Ji-hoon with wide eyes. He gave her a small nod. She was safe. He had protected her like he promised. Everyone, sit down, Ji-hoon said. He pointed to the dining area. We need to talk. The 5 employees sat at a table. Brittany and Craig sat together. The 3 other workers sat separately. They clearly didn't want to be associated with the managers. Ji-hoon stood in front of them. Patricia and James stood nearby. Some customers had left, but several stayed to watch. They sensed this was important. For the past 3 weeks, I've been investigating this restaurant, Ji-hoon began. I received 23 customer complaints about this location, complaints about discrimination, food safety issues, theft, and hostile service. I came here undercover multiple times. I saw things that shocked me. He looked directly at Brittany and Craig. I saw you treat customers differently based on their race and appearance. I saw you give fresh food to some customers and old, sitting food to others. I saw you mock customers in Spanish thinking nobody understood. I saw you steal money from an elderly customer. I saw you violate health codes by using expired food. And today I saw you deliberately put allergens in my food after I told you I was allergic. Brittany put her face in her hands. She was crying harder now. Craig just stared at the table. These are not small mistakes, Ji-hoon continued. These are serious violations. What you did is illegal. It's discrimination. It's fraud. It's endangering public health. Do you understand how serious this is? Neither manager answered. They just sat there in silence. Ji-hoon turned to the other 3 employees. His voice became gentler. Marisol, Marcus, Sophia, I know you were forced to participate in some of these actions. I know the managers threatened you. I know you were scared of losing your jobs. I want you to know that you are not in trouble. We understand you were victims too. Marisol started crying. Relief flooded her face. Thank you, she whispered. I want to hear from each of you, Ji-hoon said. I want to know what happened here. I want to understand the full picture. Who wants to speak first? Marisol raised her hand slowly. She wiped her tears. I'll speak. Ji-hoon nodded encouragingly. Go ahead. I've been here for 6 months, Marisol began. Her voice was shaky but determined. When I started, I tried to be nice to every customer. I tried to give good service, but Brittany yelled at me. She said I was wasting fresh food on people who didn't deserve it. She told me to save the fresh food for the good customers. When I asked what that meant, she said I should know. She meant white customers, rich customers. Brittany tried to interrupt. That's not... Don't speak, Ji-hoon said sharply. Let her finish. Marisol continued. Brittany and Craig made a game of it. They would laugh about tricking customers. They would mess up orders on purpose. If someone looked poor or spoke with an accent, they got bad service. I hated it. I tried to report it to the company hotline, but nothing happened. Then Brittany found out I called. She made my life miserable. She gave me the worst shifts. She made me do all the hard, dirty work. She threatened to fire me if I complained again. Why didn't you quit? Patricia asked gently. I have a 1-year-old baby, Marisol said. Fresh tears ran down her face. I'm a single mother. I need this job. I need the money. I couldn't afford to lose it. So I kept quiet. But I hated every day. I hated being part of something so wrong. Ji-hoon felt deep sympathy for Marisol. She was a good person trapped in a bad situation. You did the right thing by documenting everything. You helped me build this case. You helped protect future customers. Marcus spoke next. He was the teenage boy. He was only 17 years old. I just started here 2 months ago. This is my first job. I thought all restaurants were like this. I thought this was normal. Craig told me that customers are always annoying and we shouldn't try too hard to please them. He said only idiots give good service to everyone. It's not normal, Ji-hoon said firmly. Good customer service means treating everyone with respect. Everyone. No matter what they look like, no matter how much money they have, that's the company standard. That's basic human decency. Sophia was the third worker. She was 19. She spoke quietly. I was scared to say anything. I saw what happened to Marisol when she complained. I saw how Craig and Brittany treated employees who tried to do the right thing. So I just kept my head down. I feel terrible about it. I served bad food to people. I knew it was wrong, but I was afraid. You're not in trouble, Ji-hoon assured her. You were in a hostile work environment. That's not your fault. But I'm glad you're telling the truth now. He turned back to Brittany and Craig. Do either of you have anything to say? Craig spoke first. His voice was defensive. Look, running a restaurant is hard. We had pressure from Mr. Davidson to keep costs down. He wanted high profits. We did what we had to do. You discriminated against customers, Ji-hoon said coldly. You endangered lives by tampering with food. You stole money. Don't blame the franchise owner for your choices. You chose to be cruel. You chose to discriminate. You chose to break the law. Brittany finally spoke. Her voice was weak. I didn't think it was that serious. I just thought, some customers are difficult. They complain about everything. I didn't think treating them a little worse was a big deal. A little worse? Ji-hoon's voice rose. You gave a child food with allergens after her father specifically said she was allergic. That child had a reaction. She could have died. Is that a little worse? Brittany had no answer. She just cried. The door unlocked. Someone was coming in despite the closed sign. It was Mr. Davidson, the franchise owner. He was a man in his 50s with gray hair and an expensive suit. He looked angry and confused. What's going on here? Mr. Davidson demanded. Why is my restaurant closed in the middle of lunch? Ji-hoon, what is this about? Sandra came in right behind Mr. Davidson. She had driven from the corporate office. 2 other people came with her. One was from legal, one was from food safety compliance. Mr. Davidson, Sandra said formally, We need to discuss serious violations at this location. Violations? What violations? Brittany and Craig run a tight ship here. This is one of my most profitable locations. Profitable because they're cheating customers and violating health codes, Ji-hoon said. Mr. Davidson, when was the last time you actually visited this restaurant and observed operations? Mr. Davidson looked uncomfortable. I trust my managers. I don't need to be here every day, that's why I hire managers. That trust was misplaced, Sandra said. She opened a folder. We have documented evidence of systematic discrimination against customers based on race and appearance. We have evidence of food safety violations, including using expired ingredients. We have evidence of theft from customers. We have evidence of creating a hostile work environment for employees who tried to follow proper procedures. Mr. Davidson's face went pale. That's not possible. I would have known. You didn't know because you weren't paying attention, Ji-hoon said. You got 23 complaint letters in 3 months. Did you investigate any of them? Brittany and Craig told me the complaints were just people being difficult. They said modern customers complain about everything. And you believed them without checking? Sandra's voice was sharp. Mr. Davidson, as a franchise owner, you have responsibilities. You're required to maintain company standards. You're required to ensure safe, fair service. You failed to do that. The legal representative stepped forward. His name was Thomas Wright. Mr. Davidson, the company is taking temporary control of this franchise location, effective immediately. We will conduct a full audit. We will retrain all staff. We will make necessary changes. You will be required to implement new oversight systems before control is returned to you. You can't do that, Mr. Davidson protested. This is my franchise. Read your franchise agreement, Thomas said calmly. Section 12, paragraph 4. The company reserves the right to take control of any franchise location that violates health codes, safety standards, or discrimination laws. Your location violated all 3. Mr. Davidson looked shocked. He hadn't expected this. Sandra continued speaking to Mr. Davidson. You'll also face financial penalties. The franchise agreement requires you to maintain standards. You didn't. There will be fines. The exact amount will be determined after the full audit. Mr. Davidson sank into a chair. He looked defeated. His profitable restaurant had become a liability. What about Brittany and Craig? They're the ones who did this. They will face consequences, Thomas said. But ultimate responsibility falls on you. You own this franchise. You hired these managers. You failed to supervise them properly. Ji-hoon turned to Brittany and Craig. You're both suspended immediately without pay, pending the completion of the investigation. After the investigation, you'll receive formal termination letters. Your employment with this company is over. You can't fire us, Craig said. His face was red with anger now. We'll sue. Sue for what? Thomas asked calmly. For being fired after deliberately putting allergens in food, after discriminating against customers, after violating health codes. Go ahead and sue. Every lawyer will laugh you out of their office. You're lucky we're not pressing criminal charges yet. That silenced Craig. Brittany just kept crying. Gather your personal belongings, Sandra told them. You have 10 minutes. Then you need to leave the premises. If you return, it will be considered trespassing. Brittany and Craig stood up slowly. They walked to the back room to get their things. They looked broken, humiliated. But Ji-hoon felt no sympathy for them. They had hurt too many people. They deserved this. While they gathered their belongings, Ji-hoon spoke to the remaining employees. Marisol, Marcus, Sophia, you 3 are not being fired. In fact, we're going to make some changes that will benefit you. Marisol looked up hopefully. Really? Really? Sandra confirmed. First, all 3 of you will receive back pay. We're reviewing the timesheets. It appears Brittany and Craig were stealing hours from you. We'll calculate what you're owed and pay it in your next check. The 3 young workers looked shocked. They hadn't expected this. Second, Ji-hoon said, you'll all receive raises, effective immediately. You've been working in a hostile environment. You've been underpaid for your labor. That ends now. Third, Sandra added. Marisol, we'd like to offer you a promotion. Would you be interested in becoming the assistant manager of this location? Marisol's eyes went wide. Me? Assistant manager? You, Sandra confirmed. You showed integrity. You documented problems even though you were scared. You tried to help customers even when your managers punished you for it. Those are leadership qualities. We need people like you in management positions. Tears streamed down Marisol's face, but these were happy tears. Yes, I would love that. Thank you. Thank you so much. You'll receive training, Ji-hoon explained. We'll send you to the management training program. You'll learn proper procedures, customer service, and leadership skills. When you come back, you'll help run this location the right way. Marcus raised his hand shyly. What about us? Me and Sophia. You two will stay in your current positions, Ji-hoon said. But you'll receive the raises I mentioned. You'll also receive better training. We want you to understand what good customer service looks like. This restaurant will become an example of how to treat people right. Sophia smiled for the first time since the meeting began. Thank you. I was so scared I'd lose my job. You're safe, Sandra assured her. We protect employees who try to do the right thing. We punish employees who do wrong. That's how it should work. Brittany and Craig came back from the break room. They carried small boxes with their belongings. They didn't look at anyone. They just walked toward the door. Before they left, Ji-hoon stopped them. One more thing. Both of you are banned from entering any restaurant owned by this company. Any location. Anywhere. If you violate this ban, we will prosecute you for trespassing. Do you understand? They nodded silently. They walked out the door. The restaurant was quieter without them, lighter somehow, like a dark cloud had lifted. Over the next few hours, a team of corporate employees arrived. They included food safety inspectors, HR specialists, and operations managers. They immediately began a thorough inspection of the restaurant. What they found was worse than Ji-hoon had documented. The walk-in refrigerator had expired food dating back weeks. The freezer had ice buildup so thick that the temperature wasn't consistent. Some frozen items had thawed and refrozen multiple times. The grill had grease buildup that was a fire hazard. The floors in the kitchen had never been properly cleaned. This is a health department nightmare, said the food safety inspector. His name was Robert. If the county health inspector had seen this, they would have shut you down immediately. The team worked quickly. They threw away all expired food. They cleaned the kitchen from top to bottom. They replaced equipment that wasn't working properly. They brought in fresh food inventory. They printed new training manuals. They installed new quality control systems. By the end of the day, the restaurant looked different. It was clean. It was organized. It met every standard. But the work wasn't done. The real work was changing the culture. Over the next week, Ji-hoon visited the restaurant every day. He conducted training sessions with the staff. He taught them proper customer service. He explained why every customer deserves respect. He showed them how to handle complaints professionally. He demonstrated proper food safety procedures. Marisol attended the week-long management training program at corporate headquarters. She learned about leadership, conflict resolution, and operations management. She returned to the restaurant confident and prepared. New employees were hired to replace Brittany and Craig. A new manager named David Kim was transferred from another location. He was a kind man with 10 years of experience. He had a reputation for running clean, efficient restaurants where employees felt valued. Under new leadership, the Harbor Boulevard restaurant transformed. The changes were visible immediately. The dining area was always clean. The food was always fresh. The staff smiled at every customer. Service was fast and friendly. Customers noticed the difference. People who had stopped coming to this location started returning. They were surprised by the improvements. They left positive reviews online. They told their friends about the changes. One day, about 3 weeks after the investigation, an elderly woman came into the restaurant. Ji-hoon was there doing a follow-up inspection. He recognized her immediately. She was Mrs. Chen, the woman who wrote the first complaint letter. The woman who was laughed at by the staff months ago. Mrs. Chen walked nervously to the counter. She looked worried, like she expected to be mistreated again. But Marisol was at the register. She smiled warmly. "Welcome, how can I help you today?" Mrs. Chen looked surprised by the friendly greeting. I'd like a chicken sandwich combo, please. Small size." "Of course," Marisol said cheerfully. She rang up the order. "That'll be $8.47. Would you like any sauces?" "Just mayonnaise, please." "No problem. Your food will be ready in just a few minutes. We're making it fresh for you." Mrs. Chen paid and stepped aside. She still looked uncertain. She glanced around the restaurant. It was clean. The other customers looked happy. The staff was working efficiently. Her order was ready in less than 5 minutes. David, the new manager, brought it to her personally. "Here you go, ma'am. 1 chicken sandwich combo. Everything is fresh. If there's anything wrong with it, please let us know. We'll fix it right away." Mrs. Chen took the tray. Her hands shook slightly. "Thank you," she whispered. She sat down at a table. She unwrapped her sandwich carefully. She took a bite. Her face showed surprise, then relief, then happiness. The food was hot. It was fresh. It was good. Ji-hoon watched from across the dining room. He saw Mrs. Chen smile. It was a small smile, but it was genuine. She was enjoying her meal. She felt respected. She felt valued. After she finished eating, Mrs. Chen walked over to where Ji-hoon was standing. She recognized him from the article that had appeared in the local news about the restaurant changes. "Are you Mr. Park?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am. Ji-hoon Park. I wrote a complaint letter about this restaurant months ago. Nobody responded. I thought nobody cared." "I'm so sorry that happened to you," Ji-hoon said sincerely. "You deserved better. Every customer does." Mrs. Chen's eyes got wet. "I came back today because I heard things had changed. I was scared. I thought maybe it was just talk, but it's true. Everything is different. The staff was kind to me. The food was good. I felt like a real person, not a bother." "That's how you should always feel," Ji-hoon said. "That's the standard we're going to maintain." "Thank you," Mrs. Chen said. She reached out and squeezed Ji-hoon's hand. "Thank you for caring. Thank you for making it right." After Mrs. Chen left, Ji-hoon felt a deep sense of satisfaction. This was why he did this work. This was the reward, not the title, not the promotion he would eventually get. But this, seeing a customer treated with dignity, seeing wrongs made right. Over the following weeks, more former customers returned. They all had similar experiences. They all noticed the changes. The restaurant's reputation slowly improved. 6 months passed. The Harbor Boulevard restaurant was completely transformed. It went from being the worst location in Ji-hoon's district to being the best. Customer satisfaction scores were the highest in the entire region. Sales had increased by 30%. Employee turnover was almost 0. Ji-hoon sat in his office on a Monday morning. He was reviewing reports from all the restaurants in his district. The Harbor Boulevard location consistently had perfect scores. Every metric was excellent. Food quality, service speed, cleanliness, customer feedback. Everything was outstanding. His phone rang. It was Sandra. "Ji-hoon, can you come to corporate headquarters tomorrow? The CEO wants to meet with you." Ji-hoon's heart beat faster. The CEO rarely met with district managers. "Is everything okay?" Sandra laughed. "Everything is more than okay. Just be here at 10 a.m. Wear your nice suit." The next day, Ji-hoon drove to corporate headquarters. It was a tall building in downtown Los Angeles. He had been here before for meetings, but never to meet the CEO. Sandra met him in the lobby. She was smiling. "Ready?" "I think so. What's this about?" "You'll see." They took the elevator to the top floor. The executive offices were here. Everything was elegant. Glass walls, modern furniture, expensive art. Ji-hoon felt nervous. Sandra led him to a large conference room. Inside were several people. The CEO, Michael Chen, the head of human resources, the head of operations, the head of legal, and several other executives Ji-hoon recognized but had never met personally. Ji-hoon, Michael Chen said, standing up. He was a man in his 60s with kind eyes and a firm handshake. Thank you for coming. Please sit down. Ji-hoon sat at the large conference table. Everyone was looking at him. He tried not to show his nervousness. Let me get straight to the point, Michael said. Your investigation and handling of the Harbor Boulevard situation was exceptional. You demonstrated exactly the kind of leadership this company needs. Thank you, sir. The Harbor Boulevard case revealed a problem we didn't know we had. We had systems in place to catch violations. We had a complaint hotline. We had oversight procedures, but they weren't working. Employees like Marisol tried to report problems, but nothing happened. Why do you think that is? Ji-hoon thought carefully before answering. I think we became too focused on profits and efficiency. We forgot that our business is about people, serving people, employing people. When profit becomes the only measure of success, other things get ignored. Michael nodded. Exactly. We need to change that. We're implementing new policies across all our franchise locations. New training programs, new oversight systems, better support for employees who report problems. And we need strong leaders to make sure these changes happen. He slid a folder across the table to Ji-hoon. We'd like to promote you to regional manager. You'd oversee 5 districts instead of 1, 500 restaurants instead of 100. It's a big job. It comes with significant responsibilities. But we believe you're the right person for it. Ji-hoon opened the folder. Inside was a job description, a contract, and a salary offer. The salary was nearly double what he currently made, but that wasn't what made him smile. It was the job description. He would be responsible for ensuring every restaurant in his region treated customers and employees with respect. He would have the power to investigate, make changes, and hold people accountable. This was exactly what he wanted. The power to make things right on a larger scale. I accept, Ji-hoon said. Thank you for this opportunity. Congratulations, Michael said, shaking his hand. You start in 2 weeks. Use that time to close out your current projects and transition your responsibilities. The meeting continued for another hour. They discussed the new policies, the training programs, and Ji-hoon's role in implementing them. By the time he left corporate headquarters, Ji-hoon's head was spinning with information and possibilities. Before he returned to his office, Ji-hoon decided to visit the Harbor Boulevard restaurant one last time. He wanted to see how it was doing. He wanted to see Marisol and the team. When he walked in, the restaurant was busy with the lunch rush, but it was organized chaos. Customers were moving through the line quickly. The staff was working together smoothly. Everyone looked happy. Marisol was managing the front counter. She had grown so much in 6 months. She was confident now. She smiled as she helped customers. She solved problems quickly. She treated every person with respect. When the lunch rush slowed down, Marisol saw Ji-hoon. Her face lit up. Mr. Park, I didn't know you were coming today. Just a visit, Ji-hoon said. How are things? Things are wonderful, Marisol said. Her smile was genuine. We got another perfect inspection score last week. Our customer feedback ratings are the best in the district, and I have some personal news. I've been accepted into the college business program. I'm going to get my degree while working here. The company is helping pay for it. That's amazing, Marisol. I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you, she said, her voice emotional. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You gave me a chance. You showed me that doing the right thing matters. David Kim, the manager, came over. Ji-hoon, good to see you. Want to try our new menu item? We're testing a new sandwich recipe. Sure, Ji-hoon said. David went to prepare the sandwich himself. While Ji-hoon waited, he looked around the restaurant. The changes were deeper than just cleanliness and efficiency. The atmosphere was different. Customers looked relaxed. They weren't being rushed. They weren't being judged. They were being treated like valued guests. The employees looked happy too. They joked with each other. They helped each other. There was no tension, no fear, no hostility. This was what a restaurant should be. David brought out the sandwich. Try this. We're thinking of adding it to the permanent menu. Ji-hoon took a bite. It was delicious. Fresh ingredients, good flavors, perfectly cooked. This is excellent. Thanks. We've been working with our suppliers to get better quality ingredients. Turns out when you treat your vendors well, they give you their best products. Who knew? David smiled. Ji-hoon spent another hour at the restaurant. He talked with the employees. He observed the operations. Everything was running smoothly. This location didn't need him anymore. It had become self-sufficient. It had become what every restaurant should be. Before leaving, Ji-hoon gathered the staff for a short meeting. Marisol, David, Marcus, Sophia, and the 3 new employees who had been hired. I have some news, Ji-hoon said. I've been promoted. I'm becoming a regional manager. I'll be overseeing a much larger area. The staff congratulated him. They looked happy for him, but also a little worried. Does this mean you won't be checking on us anymore? Sophia asked. I'll still visit sometimes, Ji-hoon assured her. But honestly, you don't need me anymore. You've built something special here. You've created a culture of respect and excellence. You've proven that treating people right is good for everyone. Good for customers. Good for employees. Good for business. He looked at each of them. I want you to remember something. What happened here wasn't just about punishing bad managers. It was about creating something better. It was about showing that change is possible. You all played a part in that change. You should be proud. Marisol spoke up. We learned from you. You showed us that standing up for what's right matters, even when it's hard, even when you're scared. You taught us that integrity isn't just a word, it's a choice you make every day. You taught me something too, Ji-hoon said. You taught me that one person documenting problems can make a difference. Marisol, when you kept those notes and took those photos, you probably felt like it was useless. But it wasn't. It helped build the case. It helped protect customers. It helped create change. Never underestimate the power of one person doing the right thing. After the meeting, Ji-hoon left the restaurant. He sat in his car for a moment, reflecting on the past 6 months. It had been a difficult journey. Investigations, confrontations, difficult decisions. But it was worth it. He thought about Brittany and Craig. He had heard through the corporate network that both had tried to get jobs at other restaurants, but word had spread about what they did. Nobody would hire them. They had learned the hard way that actions have consequences. He thought about Mr. Davidson. The franchise owner had paid heavy fines. He had been required to attend training on proper franchise management. He now visited his locations regularly. He had learned that profit without integrity is meaningless. But mostly, Ji-hoon thought about the customers. Mrs. Chen, who came back and finally felt respected. The Hispanic family whose daughter had the allergic reaction, who now came to the restaurant regularly and received excellent service. The elderly man who Craig had stolen from. All the people who had been mistreated and now were being treated right. That was the real victory. Not the promotion, not the recognition, but knowing that people were being treated with dignity. Ji-hoon started his car and drove toward his office. He had 2 more weeks in his current position. Then he would start his new role. 5 districts, 500 restaurants, many more opportunities to make things right. He smiled. This was just the beginning. As a regional manager, he would implement the lessons learned from Harbor Boulevard across all his locations. He would train managers to value people over profit. He would create systems to catch problems early. He would protect employees who reported violations. He would ensure every customer, regardless of their appearance or background, received respectful service. The Harbor Boulevard case had taught him something important. Revenge wasn't about humiliation or punishment. Real revenge was about justice. It was about accountability. It was about making sure the wrongs were made right. It was about protecting the vulnerable and giving them voice. And sometimes the best revenge was simply success. The success of good people like Marisol, who got the opportunities they deserved. The success of a restaurant that became profitable by doing things right, not by cutting corners. The success of a system that finally listened to complaints and took action. Ji-hoon pulled into his office parking lot. He had work to do, reports to finish, transitions to plan, a future to prepare for. But he felt ready. He felt energized. He felt purposeful. He had started this investigation expecting to find some problems and fix them. He had ended it changing lives, including his own. He had learned that leadership wasn't about authority. It was about responsibility. It was about standing up for people who couldn't stand up for themselves. It was about doing the right thing even when it was difficult. As Ji-hoon walked into his office, he thought about the words he would share in the corporate training program he would soon lead. He would tell the story of Harbor Boulevard. He would explain how discrimination and poor treatment don't just hurt individuals, they hurt everyone. He would show that doing the right thing isn't just morally correct, it's good business. And he would end with this message: every customer deserves respect. Every employee deserves dignity. Every wrong deserves to be made right. That wasn't just company policy. That was the foundation of a just society. Ji-hoon sat at his desk and opened his laptop. He had one more report to write about the Harbor Boulevard case, the final report, the one that would document the entire journey from investigation to transformation. He began typing, and as he wrote, he smiled. This story had a happy ending. Not everyone got that. But the people of Harbor Boulevard did, and soon, many more would too.